Thank you, guys. How's everybody doing this morning? It's almost afternoon now. You guys need to be good. Y'all slept in. Y'all are the late service. Lucky. Oh, wow. It's been an awesome day so far. I'm excited. I want to introduce my wife again, Leah. We've been married for, I guess the verdict is out. We were trying to decide last night, and I said 5 months, and she said 6, which means we've been married for 6 months. There's one thing that I've learned in 6 months of marriage is your wife is always right. So I think I'm doing a good job. Got a thumbs up with that. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Look at that. Everybody, come on now. Yeah. Loosen up. I love it. So I am going to start off today by telling you guys a story. And it was of the first dream I ever had. And I'm not talking about like you go to sleep at night, you wake up, and you're like, what was that? It was one of those, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up kind of dreams. And I was 6 years old, sitting on the living room couch at my parents' house, and we're watching the 1996 Olympic Games. It was the 400-meter finals, and Michael Johnson was on the back stretch to the 200 in world record pace, wearing his 24-karat gold shoes and his unique upright running form. And in that moment, I sat there and I was like, yep, that's it. I want to be an Olympic athlete when I grow up. And that dream wasn't too far-fetched. My mom had a short professional running career. She was an All-American collegiate runner at the University of Georgia, Canadian national champion. And running is something that I had always been a part of in my life. I like to joke with people and tell them that I ran before I walked. 1, 2 years old, Mom would bundle me up in clothes and throw me in the baby jogger on the weekends and take me out for runs. And although she was doing the running, I still felt like I was running. So again, it's been immersed in my life. And as I got older and could start, running a little bit with her, I would go out on, the first maybe mile with her warm up, and then she'd go off and finish her run. I'd go play in the backyard or something until she got home. And as I got a little bit older, we would do on the weekends, we would go do fun runs and 5Ks and, Saturday morning. And I'd start asking my friends at school, like, where were you guys this weekend, the fun run? And I realized not many people did that. Saturday morning was for sleeping in, not waking up at 6 o'clock and going running a 5K. But that's what we did, and we enjoyed it. I didn't get extremely competitive, I don't think, until high school. My sophomore year, I got third individual at state cross-country championships, and kind of was like, man, I might, be able to do this. This is, my dream of being an Olympian. Let's keep going after it. My junior year, I won 2 individual state championships in the 800 and the mile, and that was a fun year because that's the time where colleges start looking at you. You start getting phone calls from different universities across the country. I was exceptionally excited when my parents' alma mater, the University of Georgia, where my mom ran, called and was interested in me coming there as an athlete. So it's just a really fun time. But as some of the runners in the room know, or any athletes, with doing sport comes these nagging injuries. And I had this kind of nagging injury that had been around for a few years, sophomore, junior, into my senior year, and felt like a stress fracture. It was treated like that for a few years. I would wear a boot for 6 weeks, and pain would go away. I'd train for 4 months. Pain would come back, and just kind of a routine over and over and over again. And I was looking at, if I'm going to run in college, I'm going to need to be able to train more, not less. I'm going to need to spend more time running, not taking these 6-week breaks off. So, am I injury prone, or is there something else going on, and we need to kind of go to the doctor and figure that out? So that's what we did. We went to a doctor and we said, hey, let's see if there's, other stuff that may be going on here. It was in that doctor visit that I learned about something called compartment syndrome. And it's really just a fancy term for saying that you have pressure in your calves. It feels a lot like a stress fracture, but instead of it being on the bone, it's muscular related. So this pressure would build up and it would cut off nerve function and blood flow to my foot. So after a long time of training, or even out of just one long run, my foot would get numb. I would sometimes have drop foot and start tripping on runs. And it can be a very dangerous thing if not taken care of. And so I kind of asked the doctor, I said, well, what are my options? And he was like, well, you can kind of keep doing what you're doing and taking some time off and training and taking some time off and training. He said, but, if you're wanting to run in college, it's going to be hard to, keep up with the team doing that. So I would advise you to do the surgery. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about it, And Yeah, well, it was a 6-week active recovery. I'd be off my feet for about 4 days, and then I'd be up moving and rehabbing. I was like, sign me up. That's great. I would love to do that. It'd be pain-free, never have to deal with it again. So we did a little bit more research and found a doctor and decided that we were going to move forward with this surgery. So the instructions post-operative were 4 days, leave the bandages on, go to PT on the 4th day, and start your rehab. So, it was easy. It was over, Thursday to Monday. So Monday morning I woke up and went into PT, and they took the bandages off my leg, and, you don't really know what to expect, and I wasn't even looking at it. Honestly, I was kind of just laying back. It was early in the morning. I was tired, and PT kind of waves over, some of his the other PTs there, and kind of got this strange look on his face, like, what do you think about this? And the next guy's got a strange look on his face, and they looked at us like, hey, you maybe need to just go back to Atlanta and let the doctor just take a look at this again and see, what's going on. We're not really sure, but it doesn't look like we kind of expected it to. So a little nervous, of course, but, we're like, whatever, we'll go back to Atlanta, and, everything's probably fine, but, we'll go back and double check. So same thing, get to Atlanta, the PA takes off the bandage, and she was like, oh, yeah, I need to go get the doctor. And the doctor comes in, and about 2 hours later, I'm in emergency surgery. And that surgery, they open up my leg and realized that due to complications in the first surgery, 60% of the muscle from my knee down had died. I spent the next 10 days, I had 5 reconstructive surgeries, debriding the muscle out of my leg, resting in the hyperbaric chamber, trying to prevent an infection, and really just try to save my leg. The doctor came in at one point and said, Jarryd, there's a really good chance that you're not going to be able to run again, and walking's going to be very difficult. And I'm kind of sitting there, I'm an optimistic 17-year-old. I'm like, 60%'s not that much, we could probably get some rehab and figure it out and, be okay. So I'm on board. We're going to be fine. Georgia had called and asked how things were going. I was like, I'll be fine. I'm just in rehab. We'll be good. So I still signed the scholarship to go run with them, and about 3 or 4 months into the rehab process, I realized that the doctor knew what he was talking about, and my progress of rehab started going backwards, and numbers started decreasing, and mobility started decreasing, and pain started increasing. And it wasn't just things that I saw, but I could kind of tell the therapist was starting to get a little bit like, whew, yeah, this isn't very good. So about a week or two after that, I was having lunch one day after church out on my back porch, and it was a beautiful Sunday. And Sundays were kind of those relaxing days for me. I would eat lunch, go to church, eat lunch, hang out, and then I'd go for a long run and just kind of clear my mind and get ready for the next week of training, or just kind of have some alone time. And obviously, it wasn't the first time that I wasn't able to do that run on Sunday, but it was the first time where I realized that my life had drastically changed, and that there was a good chance that I would never be able to run again. I remember going upstairs into my room and sitting down on my futon bunk bed. Don't know if they make those anymore, but I had one in high school. It was awesome. And looked up at a poster on the wall in my room, and I really always liked those Life is Good posters and shirts and hats. And so I had one, it said Life is Good, and a little runner guy on it. And I looked at that poster, and I was like, no, life's not good. Life sucks right now. I remember taking the poster off the wall and breaking it, storming out of the front door of the house. We lived less than a mile away from the local high school track where I went to school, and decided to walk up and jump the fence and get on the track. I was determined to run again. I took off around the first turn. I was hobbling and limping, and down the back stretch, stopping to walk a little bit. And by the time I crossed the line, I was in full tears, and I just fell on my face. Started yelling at God, asking, real questions. Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? I made a decision in that moment to run from God, and that's what I did for the next 18 months. And looking back on that time, I realized that Jesus wasn't gone. It was my pursuit of Jesus that was gone, and that's what left. I look around the room right now, and each person here has their own story of adversity or loss or whatever it may be. And some of you guys will be like, man, I would love to hear the news. I don't have to run again. Are you kidding me? Like, that'd be the greatest news ever. Like, can I sign up for that doctor's appointment? Where's that at? I hate running. But for me, losing running, I truly felt like I had lost everything. See, leading up to 17-year-old kid, I was known as the runner around school. I was Jarryd the runner. That's what people knew me as. I was going to college not because I was a smart student, but because I was a fast runner. And I had a massive identity loss. Whatever it is for you guys today, whether it's the loss of a job or maybe you didn't get the promotion that you wanted, or maybe it's the loss of a loved one through a death, a divorce, or a prodigal son or daughter. Maybe you're battling with anxiety or stress or personal loss of identity. Whatever it is, I want to be clear and honest in saying that loss is hard, and loss hurts. But the great thing is that we're not alone in loss. Because although loss is definite, Jesus is infinite. And there's a grieving process involved, and each person in their own respects and ways and circumstances goes through that. But my challenge and my hope for my life moving forward, and for you guys' life as well, is in those moments of loss and heartache or adversity that we remember and we hold on to the truth that we are not alone. And that's a great, great, great thing. 18 months was a long time running from God. It was a lonely time. Somehow I found a way to keep running. It wasn't literally running, it was running from the Lord. I had 3 reconstructive surgeries during this time, and we were really just trying to see what level of functionality we could get me to. Some were new surgeries that hadn't been done before. Some doctors had never seen a leg as deformed as mine, and what caused it to get there. But during that time, I got addicted to pain medication. I was constantly in pain and constantly in need of pain medication. I got addicted to that medication, and going through that season, it caused me to start introducing myself into other drugs and alcohol and this promiscuous lifestyle, this dark, dark place, a place where the world says, hey, if you've got issues, or if you've got pain, or if you've got loss, or you've got struggles, or you're battling with, depression or identity, or you're just trying to hide from something, these are all places that you can go. And I think the one thing that I truly learned about worldly desires is, sometimes I maybe did get drunk enough where the pain went away, but it always came back. It wasn't sustainable. It didn't last, and I always found myself in a place of loneliness, a place of hopelessness. I got tired of living that lifestyle. 18 months, like I said, was a long time. And, Einstein has a quote. It's the definition of insanity, and it's doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting a different result. And I was there. I tried the same thing over and over again, and I ended up at the same exact spot every single time. Well, kind of coming out of trying to figure out what next was going to look like and how I was going to change, I met a girl. And I think every great Hollywood movie starts with I met a girl or I met a guy. So I was in this place where I was trying to grasp onto or hold on to anything. And I got into this relationship, this girl I'd known for a really long time, and we started dating. And she was a good Christian girl, and we started going to church again. And I stopped drinking and doing drugs, and I really started kind of having some hope. And finding maybe my identity not in running, but just kind of, relationship that maybe I do have more to offer to the world. And I remember we'd been dating for about 4 months. And I thought things were going great. And I invited her over one night to cook dinner and watch a movie, just kind of hang out. And it was the night I was going to tell her that I loved her, which might be a little premature at 4 months, but I'm not sure. So she came over and we had dinner and watched a movie. And of course, I'm a little nervous as the night goes on. I know what the kind of end goal of the evening is, and so I never told a girl I loved her before, so I'm getting a little anxious. And it was right about the time where I felt like, okay, this is it. This is the moment. And I turned to her and she looks at me at the same time. She said, "Hey, Jarryd." And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, What? She said, I've been praying about our relationship, and I don't feel like the Lord wants us to be together anymore. but I love you. Didn't do that. I might have, should have, I don't know. Didn't do that. As you can imagine, shocked, blindsided, unexpected. She leaves, and I felt like the first good thing to do was to hit the wall, which is a bad idea. The wall won that one, but I was just so angry. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to do. I found myself, in the same place I was 18 months prior on the track, yelling at God, saying, "All right, God." I mean, at this point, gloves are off. What the heck? I'm trying to get back on track. I'm trying to get my life straight. I think everything's going good. And you've taken the only two things I've ever loved outside of my family away from me, running and now her. I remember a voice, and I said, God, I was trying to use her to get closer to you, and you took her from me. So you must not want me to be close to you. At that moment, I felt the Lord stronger than I ever have in my entire life. And he said, man, Jarryd, you don't have to use her or anyone to get closer to me. I'm right here. I'm just waiting for you to stop running from me and to start running with me. It was in that moment where I realized that Jesus was never gone. It was my pursuit of Jesus that was gone. And through that second loss brought this perspective. And the perspective is, although sometimes loss happens and loss takes us to a place of hopelessness, Jesus, the giver of hope, meets us there, and he turns hopelessness into life. And although I was at this place of darkness and feeling like I've lost everything, feeling totally hopeless, Jesus met me there and said, I still am here, and I love you, and I want to give you life, and I want to give you hope. But you have to trust me. You have to stop trying to control your circumstances. You have to stop trying to dictate your path, and you have to let go. So I leave this moment, and I lost a lot of friends, most all of my friends, because I wasn't really hanging out with the greatest people. And I said, all right, God, 18 months I've tried and tried and tried to figure it out on my own. 18 months I've done things my way, and it's not worked out really well. So I'm going to just surrender, and I'm going to say, whatever you want, your will, your way, Father. About 6 weeks after that time, went into a doctor's appointment, and the doctor looked at me and he said, Jarryd, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, that'd be great, thank you. He said, it's not a matter of if you lose your leg. It's a matter of when you lose your leg. He said, you have an 80-year-old leg on a 20-year-old's body. Wow. So you telling me I have to cut my leg off? And he looked at me and he said, Jarryd, he said, let me ask you a question. What do you want to do with your life? He said, take your leg out of the equation. He said, what do you want to do with your life? Okay, I'd like to run again. I think that one's pretty easy. I'd love to be pain-free. I'd like to just be a normal kid. I'd like to be able to work a normal job one day and not have to get off my feet as soon as I get home because I'm in so much pain. Lord willing, one day I'd love to have a family and be able to play with my kids in the yard or coach their teams. And he just looks at me and he's like, Jarryd, I'm sorry. That's just not going to be realistic with what you've got. He said, but if you choose to have your leg amputated, then you can do those things. I left that appointment and said, okay, Lord. I said, I'm done trying to control it. I'm done on my own. So if the loss of my leg is what you're asking, then I'm going to take my loss and I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to trust that you can do what only you can do. You can do immeasurably more. I trust and believe that, Father, but I'm going to have to surrender this to you because I don't know what this is going to look like. And I was a little afraid, honestly. But I had to trust that he would do what only he could do. We spent about the next 4 months researching prosthetic companies and trying to find doctors that would electively amputate a 20-year-old's leg. And we came across a guy who saw that there was a bigger story that was being written. And he joined alongside, and we came up with the right amputation and the right technology to allow me to live the lifestyle that I believe the Lord's called me to live and that I desire to live. I want to read a verse for you guys. It's John 14, 12 through 13. It says, I tell you the truth. This is Jesus speaking to his disciples. He says, I tell you the truth, anyone who believes in me will do the same works I have done and even greater works, because I'm going to be with the Father. You can ask for anything in my name, and I will do it so that the Son can bring glory to the Father. And what a great reminder that we have an advocate on our behalf. What a great reminder that if we take our lives and our circumstances and say, God, I want you to receive the glory, that the Lord and Jesus will take it and do their will for our lives and do immeasurably more. June of 2010, I went in and electively had my leg amputated, and I remember being in the hospital that morning and a nurse walking in and saying, looking in, seeing amputation. I was like, nope, wrong room. I was like, nope, you're in the right room. That's me. I'm getting my leg cut off. And she was like, is this kid okay? Like, why is he excited about this? And I got to share with her the hope that I had. I got to roll into the OR, and I asked the doctors before they put me to sleep if I could pray over the staff that was there. I don't know what I said. I was a little, they kind of gave me a little whatever it's called, and got me a little excited. But I don't remember what I said, but I had a doctor after that came and said, man, it was a beautiful prayer. And that's just the power of the Lord in us and in me in that moment. So 6 weeks and 1 day. 6 weeks and 1 day after that amputation, I walked pain-free for the first time. Come on. Thank you. Love it. And it was 3 months. 3 months I ran for the first time from amputation. And that's just a testament to the Lord and his faithfulness and his provision. I was so blessed to have a great team that was able to help me through the rehab process and get back going. But exactly 1 year to the day from amputation, I ran in my first Paralympic event. I won the race in the 100 meters and went on to qualify for nationals that year. At nationals that year, my dream of becoming an Olympic or now Paralympic athlete came true. And I made my first U.S. team to go down to Mexico at the Pan American Games in 2011. Yeah, come on. Praise the Lord. I love it. Come on. So I go down there, and I was seated sixth. And for those of you guys that are not familiar with a track, there's 8 lanes on a track, so sixth place is not good. Like, who is this kid? Never seen him before. And but I'm living with this new freedom now. And running changed. Everything about running changed. No longer do I have personal expectations. And yes, I have goals, and I wanted to go after things. But when I got on the line, I was like, man, like, Lord, I'm just running for you. Like, whatever happens, happens. Like, your will be done, Father. Like, I'm running free. So I'm seated 6th, I'm seated 8th, I'm seated 1st. I don't care. I'm just having a blast now. Yeah, I never thought I was going to run again. I'm on the track in front of thousands of people. This is amazing. USA. It's like, whew, unbelievable. So the gun goes off, and I end up running the fastest time in the world in 2011 in the 100-meter dash and winning the gold medal in my first international event. Yes, praise the Lord. Come on. Awesome. The next year, I found myself making it onto the Paralympic team going to London in 2012. I made it for the 4x100 meter relay, and this was a big deal because this race was like big time talked about. The USA versus South Africa. The winner most likely is going to break the world record, of course, take home the Paralympic gold medal. So a lot of hype, a lot of nerves for a first-time Paralympian, honestly. And I remember being on the track and kind of feeling the cool air of the English breeze, but also the heat coming from the lights in the stadium. 80,000 people packed full in the stadium. Millions of people watching on television. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm a Paralympian. This is nuts. My dream is literally coming true. I remember I was running the 3rd leg, which is the last turn. Hand off to the 4th, who runs it across the finish line. And gun goes off, and I've got my mark, and I've set a piece of tape on the track, and that's there for when my teammate runs over it. I'm supposed to take off, and I've kind of got my place where I'm standing, and made a few adjustments from practice because the track was a little different. And so I'm watching on the Jumbotron as they're running around the first turn and watch that first exchange. And now I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I got a dude that's like 6'3", 195 pounds running full speed at me down the backstretch. I'm like, I got to go, when this guy hits this line. So I'm down in my 3-point stance looking between my leg, and I had my eyes on this mark and was just waiting for him to hit the mark. He crossed the mark, and I take off, and on my third step, I realized that the little adjustment I made at the beginning was not the right adjustment I needed to make. My toe clipped my running blade, and I stumbled, and we went from second to fifth place like that. Somehow I didn't fall. I have no idea how still after watching it over. I stumbled up, finished running my leg, handed it off to my teammate. He crossed the line in third place, and we're like, oh my gosh, we won a bronze medal. This is crazy. We've taken our victory laps, and we were a little bummed, but also still excited. You know, you can't be bummed about a medal. And we're going through our interviews, and we get a tap on our shoulder through the second interview, and we're like, yeah, what's up? And it was the race official, and he said, due to a lane infraction through the first exchange, you guys have been disqualified. So I go back to the village that night, and I'm sitting in my room, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, all right, Lord, I don't know if you saw the race or not tonight. It was good. We got third, and then we got disqualified. I tripped during my leg, too. It was awesome. I'm sitting there, and I'm struggling because I have to get on a plane the next day and go back home. And people are going to be interested in knowing how it went. How was the Paralympics? How'd it go? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I tripped, and we got disqualified, so it was good, you know? Like, what am I going to say? And I'm kind of wrestling with this, and I'm like, okay, God, like, what's going on? And he said, Jarryd, you trust me? I'm like, yeah. I've given you a story that you may not understand, but I'm going to try to explain it to you. When you go back home and you share your experience, how many more people do you think can relate to feeling disqualified or a trip than they can with a gold medal? And I was like, that's a pretty good story. Wow, yeah. Even in loss, if we choose to give our loss to the Lord, he will do immeasurably more. And he has, and I trust that he continues to will do that. 2013, I make the world championship team. I go down to Lyon, France, run the 100, the 200, and the 4x1 relay again, same team. In the 200 prelims, I break the world record in the 200. In the finals, I win the gold medal, win my first world championship gold medal, break the world record again. Come on, thank you. Same team, 1 year later, 4x1. We win the race by over a second, break the world record by over a second, and win the gold medal at the World Championships. And the Lord is good. Unbelievable. 2014 was an off year. 2015, trying to defend the Pan Am Championships, my first medal that I ever won. Went down and focused on the 100 meters for the 2015 season and went down and broke the world record in the 100 meters and won the gold medal at the Pan Am Games, defending that title, the first person to defend that title. Going into the 2016 year Paralympic Games, the big year, redemption year for the relay. Excited to have an opportunity going in as the favorite for the 100-meter dash. In the year 2016, I ran 10 races in the 100 meters, and I'm the first Paralympian ever in the history of the sport to run all 10 races under 11 seconds in the 100 meters. Thank you. So cool. So I'm obviously overwhelmed and excited and hyped about the opportunity to go down to Rio and you know, is this the year? You know, is this the year to be on the podium, to raise the American flag, to sing the national anthem in front of the world? And I get down there and you know, all these interviews and I'm getting excited. I'm excited. I'm healthy. I'm feeling good. I'm running really well. The second night before my first race, the prelims of the 100, we had my last training session. I mean, I was hitting times that I've never hit before in practice and even in races, and I'm sitting here, I'm just like, this is unbelievable. Like, I'm so excited. Let's get to race day. So that night I get back to the hotel room, and I wake up sick. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Ended up being what we don't really know exactly what it was, but it was a respiratory infection was kind of where we landed. I ended up having it for about a month. Every time I laid down, I would just start coughing uncontrollably. zero rest. Anytime I tried to sleep, it was maybe 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, but my stomach hurts from coughing so much. Figured I've been doing, wake up in the morning, I'm like, I've been doing abs while I've been sleeping all night? Like, what is going on? Well, I get into the prelims. I run the slowest time I've run in 2 years. Fortunately, I finished second and was still able to make the finals, and the finals ended up getting 5th place. And I'm just bummed. I'm in a place I'm not asking why, God, I'm asking what, God. What are you up to, man? Just give me some insight. I trust you, 100% I trust you. But what's going on? And, I had my time of being, crying and being upset and what just happened. And I remember talking to my wife on the phone shortly after the race and just talking about it. And of course, it was a hard conversation. We were both hurting. But I said something to her that, was just such a gift from the Lord. And I said, baby, you know what? One race, it doesn't change who Jesus is. So we're going to hold on to that, and we're going to just keep moving forward. And a few days later, we have he is good. Oh, man, he's good. Come on. Yeah. A few days later, we have the 4x100 meter relay, and I got a little bit more sleep the night before, but still, tired. And we get out on the track, and a really strong team, and we ended up breaking the world record, crossing the line in gold medal fashion, and taking our victory lap. And preview from 2012 happened again. We got disqualified. Yeah. And we're sitting there, and I'm almost hurting more for my teammates. It was a new team, and in this place of just, okay, Lord, we're just going to trust you here. And I was talking to my wife later, and she said, Jarryd, I just want to remind you what you told me a few nights ago. She said, one race, one loss, 2 races, two losses. Doesn't change who Jesus is. And you're sitting there, and you're like, you're right. You know what? It doesn't matter. In life, circumstances, adversity, things are going to happen outside of our control. Things that we didn't plan in life, they're going to happen. But no matter what happens, Jesus remains the same. He is faithful. He is constant. I look through my running career, and I think the beginning of my career, I really thought that in order for God to receive glory, I had to be on the medal stand. In order for the Lord to really receive the glory, I had to win. I had to be in the spotlight. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And I think through my career, and I hope to take this off the track and into life, but Jesus doesn't need us to be victorious for his glory to be seen. He just needs us to hope in his glory because victory is already won. Yeah. And the word hope in his glory, the word hope is referring to an unwavering confidence. It's not like, oh, well, I hope, he has glory. It's like, no. This is an unwavering confidence that he is and he has glory. And that victory has been won. It reminds me of Hebrews 11:1. I love the Message's version of this. It says, the fundamental fact of existence is that this trust in God, this faith, is the firm foundation under everything that makes life worth living. I'll read that again. The fundamental fact of existence is that this trust in God, this faith, is the firm foundation under everything that makes life worth living. You see, I look at my story and the tragedy and triumph of my story, and the true tragedy of my story was not the loss of my leg. The true tragedy of my story was when I stopped pursuing Jesus. And on the flip side, the triumphs of my story are not around the gold medals and the world records. Those things are awesome, but that's not the triumph. The triumph was the day that I said, God, no longer am I going to try to control my circumstances. Not my will, but your will be done. That's a daily choice. I wake up every morning and I have to say, God, not my will, but your will be done. It's not something that just happens once and, the rest of life. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what each of you guys are faced with right now. I don't know your circumstance. You do, the Lord does. But if we can just remember that we are not alone in loss. If we can just remember, instead of holding on to our circumstances, if we can let go of them, let go of our finances, let go of our fears, let go of our anxieties or doubts or identities, let go of our loss and heartache and say, God, I'm going to give it over to you and trust that you're going to do what only you can do. Trust that you're going to do immeasurably more. Those are the moments and those are the places where we are going to live in a place of freedom and a place of hope. He is a good, good Father. Good, good Father. And Lord, we come before you right now grateful for who you are. Grateful that you know each one of us so, so uniquely, so, so individually. Thank you for meeting us where we are. God, as we leave this place, Lord, I pray that we will let go of that grip that we have on those areas in our lives that are stopping us, that we're not trusting you with, or that we're afraid to let go because we don't want to lose it, or we don't want to be uncertain of what the future looks like. Lord, we will let go. Will we just let go of those things and trust you? Give them to you and say, you know what, we may not know, Lord, but we're going to trust that you do. Trust that you're going to do what only you can do, Lord. Thank you for the cross. Thank you for your son. Thank you that we are redeemed and loved and that we have access to you. Thank you for never abandoning us. God, you are so good. In your name I pray, amen.